alaikum, Jianu, Pakhairagale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Ola, Bonjour, Privyat, Kaifahal, Hala Shama Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, and a very amazing Khush Ahmadeen to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning, alongside the one and the only Shahzad Khan. I hope everybody is doing great. You know, for all those people who are about to leave their homes, please make sure that you do not, for all those people who live in Islamabad, do not take Margala Road because it's very rushy today. I don't know what the matter is, but as a matter of fact, please make sure that you do not drive fast. So let's just weld into Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen. Today we've got a very important day to observe and celebrate, and it's all about financial inclusion. So for all of those bankers, investment bankers, you know, people who've been working with equities as well, please make sure that you stay tuned as well. And if you want your kids to learn a bit about small and medium enterprises, today is the day, and we've dedicated an entire segment of talking about it. But before that, I've got a good news for you. So let's take a look at the top stories and let's see what's happening all around Pakistan. I've got a very good news. Let's take a look. Yusuf Salim, the visually impaired lawyer, became Pakistan's first blind judge as he took oath. Wow, that's us moving towards inclusive society. Congratulations, Yusuf Salim. What a good day for Pakistan. Moving on, we have Professor Jane Canrong, an acclaimed academician and foreign policy expert of China, delivered a public talk on China's foreign policy at Institute of Strategic Studies, Islamabad. Well, it's usually hard to understand, but okay, last but not the least, a new pop-up theater called the Shakespeare Rose opened its doors in New York. In fact, in York, in northeast England, the temporary venue is made with intricate scaffolding and is similar to London's Shakespeare Globe Theatre. Wow, I think we need theatres like these over here as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these were the top stories, and time now to talk about what I was telling you earlier before moving on towards the top stories as well. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it is a UN recognized day, and we are trying to observe and celebrate it. This is the second time that we are going to celebrate it. In fact, all the UN member states are going to celebrate it for the second time because it started previous year as well. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it is Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day, and whenever we talk about small and medium enterprises, they are said to be the backbone of any economy because they hire people, and you know, these are smaller organizations with just a figure of 250 employees within that, and other than that, they have got quite a lot of impact on the vulnerable skilled workforce of the society as well, where we talk about kids and women. But whenever we talk about small and medium enterprises, there are quite a lot of issues associated with that. And for example, when we talk about that, that's access of financing. So there are other people who finance as well, but then, you know, we need to talk about the inclusivity as well, and that's why we have actually invited somebody who's very amazing. He's been working in New York as well. He's spent most of his time of his life abroad. Now he's in Pakistan. He's working over here to make Pakistan a better place as well. He's none other than, ladies and gentlemen, somebody who is the Chief Investment Officer at Karandaz as well, over 25 years of experience in asset management, investment strategy, private equity funds as well. He's none other than Mr. Naveed Goraya. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Shahzad. Thank you for having me.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much for joining us. So, Naveed Saab, let's get the conversation started. First things first, what is Karandaz? Tell us a little about Karandaz. You know, you're the CIO of that organization currently as well, and what is it doing towards making Pakistan inclusive within the terms of investment?
So Shahzad, you started with the right preamble, which is that micro, small and medium enterprises have limited access to financial services.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, there are various interventions that the government of Pakistan has started, the National Financial Inclusion Strategy being one of them, which dovetails into the 2025 Government of Pakistan vision. Karandaz Pakistan does the same. It is sponsored by two of the world's preeminent shareholders, the United Kingdom's Department for Financial International Development and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Wow.
The two organizations have together committed about £164 million from Department of International Development from UK and 30 odd million thereabouts.
Wow.
And these organizations essentially have the same objective, which is to create an environment in which the financial inclusion and the access to finance for SMEs increases. And in order to do that, we have various intervention models that we have created. These include investments through equity. These include investments through partnerships with financial institutions that give them credit on programs in which we risk participate and share the risk with them. And the third very important thing is that we identify the areas in the industry that have a market failure. There are those infrastructure elements in the financial sector that are missing, and we participate in that. So for example, you mentioned microfinance. So Pakistan Microfinance Investment Company is something that we have sponsored, and with PPAF and the German Development Bank, KfW, jointly we created a platform, which is a wholesale finance platform to fund microfinance banks and microfinance investment companies who had difficulty in accessing finance otherwise. And they will develop the market moving forward. Likewise, for SMEs, Karandas Pakistan has a similar strategy, which is that we identify the sectors, we identify the partners, and we identify the equity investment opportunities in which companies will come to us, and we assess their growth opportunity, and primarily the employment growth.
So what is the response?
Both women and youth is very important.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about that. But what is the response you get from the companies? Are they reluctant? Are they willing? You know, what's happening? What's the situation within Pakistan related to small and medium enterprises?
So it's absolutely amazing. Just once again, referring back to what you said, because of the lack of equity and capital available to these companies, we find that as the word gets out, that Karandas Pakistan is willing and able to provide growth capital to these entities, we are seeing that we are the catalyst that is going to allow these companies to grow.
Wow.
So we are getting almost an application a week from equity seekers. And we look at participating $3 to $5 million in a particular investment with a minority significant stake, but at the same time ability to contribution to it. At the same time, we've contributed almost about 5 billion rupees in the debt financing program. And we have 500 SMEs in which we have created 10,000 jobs.
Wow.
And tens of billions of dollars of revenue increase. So when you look at these two things, if Karandas alone can contribute this both in the equity and the debt front, a Karandas 2, a Karandas 3, how much value addition they could provide.
Exactly, and you know, it is being said, you know, while I was researching and I was studying, that, you know, SMEs are actually the flag bearers of giving away jobs as well. So 90% or 80% of the jobs comes from small and medium enterprises. And if that's what the case is, why do you think that they have difficulty having access to finance then?
So true, so true. I mean, in terms of the employment contribution, 80% does come, as you said. In addition to that, 25% of export growth comes, export contribution comes from there. And the unfortunate thing is that the credit available to these is only 9% of the total bank's lending assets. So with that that strangles the SMEs who are contributing so much to the capital.
No, but then that's why you are SMEs, right? Because you can only give away the 9% of the total lending budget as well. So then how do we clarify the situation that, okay, we need more finances to do this. I think there needs to be an understanding in between the organizations or the SMEs with the government as well.
Absolutely. And I think the government, which is State Bank of Pakistan, is making a substantial effort in encouraging the banks to lend more. To give you an example, if there's a bank, which we know of, 2 or 3 banks actually, whose current SME book is around 25 billion. State Bank of Pakistan has encouraged them to increase that book by 7 billion.
Wow.
So just look at the ratios. And that push from State Bank of Pakistan is something that we are looking at and enjoying as well, because that's exactly what we as a catalyst want these banks to do with Karandas. And with that push from State Bank, and also the encouragement that the bank's behavior has to change. They currently look at capital and collateral as the major component before lending. Now, should the banks move away to a collateral light or collateral free lending, you would see that the demand side is substantially there. and the growth in the economy is going to be, as you said, the lifeblood is going to substantially increase. So we hope the banks change their behavior and move into less of a collateral and more of cash flow based lending.
All right, I think that that's a great idea. And since I might be a layman at talking about SMEs, but there are a few things which I even studied as well. And talking about my own experiences about SMEs, there's one more thing which I need to know, and that is that elsewhere, for example, if you go and see UK, or probably you came back from New York as well, the interest rates are not that high. And you still say that over here within Pakistan, we still have the demand where there are people who need this money to, probably invest or do whatever they want to do. And then you are right that, collaterals and all of these things, that's what they require. Making the process difficult for the normal human being to actually go within the bank and ask for all of those monies with whatever particular business idea he or she's got. So how do we bring them down? How do we change their attitudes? Because it needs to be done.
So it's a very interesting question because there are two sides to it. On the one hand, banks find it easier to lend into risk-free assets like
Yes.
the PIBs, and as the rates are going up, we think that that's going to be again something that will constrain capital.
Okay.
So your point is valid that then they try to manage the risk by increasing the rates, and we have to deal with that. On the other hand, State Bank of Pakistan again is taking a leading role by putting in programs that offer financing to SMEs at a low discounted rate and give
Okay.
them a refinancing facility from the banks to the banks. And in addition to that, State Bank of Pakistan has also provided credit guarantee facilities.
Okay.
Now it's up to the banks to utilize those facilities and then increase the lending to the SMEs accordingly.
Wow.
Up till now, one of the unfortunate things again is that we're not seeing the banks making use of these entire facilities that are available, but hopefully with the push from State Bank to increase their asset base to SME, we think that is going to be. So there is a positive feel, but at the same time that push is needed, which is where Karandaz again comes in, that we partner with banks and then we tell them and we share the risk with them and encourage them to do pilot programs. And that's what's needed right
Okay,
now.
that's great. But don't you think that the leadership of all of these SMEs within Pakistan, I mean, for example, CIOs or CEOs or presidents or chairmen, need to change their attitudes as well? Because I think that they actually try to imply all of what they think within their individual or personal life capacity, that this might be quite a lot of risk. And people over here, when they manage to come across such a job description, they take lesser risks as well. So what would you recommend to them that okay, change your attitudes, change your behaviors, and help people out there? And who's going to benefit from these SMEs in the coming years?
So again, I hate to say there are two sides to the story, but there are unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
At the SME front, the SMEs do bear a burden, and that burden is to create dependable and verifiable financial statements and accounts.
All right.
Until that is not available, banks will continue to rely, and rightfully so to some extent, on credit collateral-backed credit. Or relationship-based, which is always right to have a relationship-based, but that is something that we need to ensure that they do. On the other hand, as far as you said, the investment companies, there are not many private equity funds in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Less than 10, maybe 6 private equity funds. So if you're looking at equity contribution or private credit contribution from these funds, the funds that are there have a ticket size of something like $10 million or more.
All right.
I mean, Karandaz is the only fund I think out there that operates in the $3 to $5 million, which is what is needed for growth capital for equity. The other funds are in the bigger ticket space, so therefore, again, that capital is not available.
And then how do you think society is going to benefit from these SMEs in the years to come?
I think once
Other
again,
than jobs and other than having an impact on the vulnerable skilled workforce, kids and women and youngsters of the country, but how do you think? I mean, for example, if I have a business plan, I go to one of the SMEs, I don't think that they'll probably like my face.
No, I think the SMEDA, which is the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Authority, and trade associations are playing a very important role.
Okay.
I think you give you a classic example. Go to Sialkot, meet the Sialkot SMEDA and the trade association. It is unbelievable what that department or the organization has done there.
Right.
They've contributed to building of an airport. They've contributed to building of roads, to schools. And these are the kind of activities, the social activity impact, where if the small and medium enterprises get together and organize themselves, the impact they can create.
Thank you very much for sharing that as well, because ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share one of my experiences, and it was very beautiful to listen to what that guy said. So I was traveling back from England. I stopped over in Qatar because I was flying from that airline, and then there was a young guy who came over and he was like, I want to take a picture with you. And I was like, you know what, where are you headed? Are you going to Islamabad? And then he uttered, and it was so beautiful, he said, I'm going to Sialkot. And I was like, do we have direct flights from Qatar or elsewhere? He was like, yes, we do. So this is the kind of impact we're talking about. But one last thing, which is for my own self or for all those people who are out there, what are formal and informal SMEs?
So look, SMEs that operate in the structured space, they are what you would refer to as formal. But those SMEs that are still unstructured, they're not private entities, they're not partnerships, they would be the ones that you'd categorize as the informal SMEs that are.
And they can still operate?
They can, obviously,
Okay.
they can. But you know, when they reach an organization like ours for capital, we would like them to be in the
Structured.
private limited structured space where they have an audited account, where they have statements. And that's where I think, once again, the onus goes back on the SME space.
And it's always good to
organizations
have
do
limited
that.
liability as well.
It's
But so thank you very much, Naveed Guraya, for
My
being
pleasure.
with us on talking about, you know, SMEs, and, you know, it's a day to celebrate that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, in days to come, I think this is the way to go, because as I have mentioned earlier, that they're even working with the vulnerable workforce as well. But other than that, you know, it's all about having a financial inclusive society as well. And even other than that, there's so many other benefits which you might not even recognize, because macro is something very different from micro, and micro is for all of us people who are out there as well. So please make sure that you have your own follow-up as well. And if you have to write to us, we'll definitely give you the addresses of the Facebook and Instagram by the end of the show. But now we're going to change the feel of the show. We're going to move towards a new career line, which I think is not very conventional. So let's go ahead towards a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just got tuned into PTV World. You watching World this morning, and we just got back from a short commercial break as well. But before we move on, earlier, ladies and gentlemen, we were celebrating, in fact, we were observing Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Day. It is a UN recognized day for the second time. Every UN member state is actually observing it. We kind of had quite a lot of amazing conversation and topics to discuss with Naveed Guraya Saab, who's actually the CIO of Karandas. But now moving on, we are going to talk about a different career line. But before I do that, I've got a pinch of realization within my own self, and that is that, you know, when you go for example, when we take breaks or whenever we're coming into the studios, there are a lot of people working for this show to be successful. So, for example, to start with, I'm going to start with my cameraman over here in the studios. Thank you very much for being such amazing, talented people. Then within our MCR, we have got our producers, our controllers, you know, for all those people on the panels, you know, we've got a great team. So every morning when I bump into them, you know, I have to cheer them up. At times they cheer me up as well. Then Shahid Bhai, you know, they bring in things. So it's not an easy job. It's not an easy task. And you should always be thankful to all of those people who actually work with you as a team to make who you actually are, or for people to realize what you are actually doing. So thank you very much. A big round of applause. आप सब अपने लिए खुद तालियां बजा सकते हैं, मुझे आवाज़ आनी चाहिए MCR से भी. Thank you very much. All right, you're a great team, and I'm blessed to have you guys together as well. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got fresh graduates from the University of Comsats. A few of them have actually graduated in architecture, and a few of them are graduated in communication designs. I don't know what communication design is. We'll definitely ask about that. But are these career lines? Because over here in Pakistan, we are very conventional, and we think that, you know, doctor, engineer, or, you know, now we have an acceptance for masters in business administration as well. And we think that, you know, okay, life will be sorted, we can find a good job. But these are the people who actually want change in their life. They do not want to live the same way people have been living, and they want to experience their talents, they want to share their talent, and they want to be at the best performance or the optimum level of their talent, and this is what they're doing. So on my right hand side, we have been joined by somebody who really does not want me to ask her so many questions. She's none other than Miss Tazeen Amir. She's an architect. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm absolutely perfect. Alongside Tazeen, we have been joined by Zirak Mustafa Pasha. He's an architect too. Hello, how are you, architect?
Good. I'm great. How are
Very
you?
nice.
Great to be on the show.
Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside Zirak, we have been joined by Maria Kiptia, who is a communication designer. Hello, Maria. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How do you do?
Wow, absolutely perfect. You know, how do I look though, by the way?
Really good.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much for making my day. And last but not the least, another communication designer. She's none other than Miss Zujaja Khalid Bhatt. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can.
Can you listen?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
can.
Very nice. So, Maria, I'm going to start my conversation with you. What is communication design?
Okay, so communication design basically is everything related to communication. When I started my degree, I didn't really know what it was. I didn't even know the name of my degree, right?
Yeah.
I just knew it was design.
Okay.
And I came in, I thought it was interior design. But then over the time, I got introduced to it, and it basically includes everything related to like advertisement. It includes advertisement, expressive typography, branding and stuff, or everything related to the things that happen. You know, in today's time, there is like a big market. You need to show a lot of stuff to
Very
people,
nice.
right?
Let's see whether Zujaja can help you with the definition of communication design. So, Zujaja, come on, explain it to us.
It is a mix of, like Maria said, illustrations, photography, videography. My own thesis was based on videography. So yeah, it covers all the media and all. Yeah.
Okay, so it's about, okay, so I get the point, communication and design as well, but what's the commercial aspect to it? Because if you're talking about media, it needs to have a commercial impact. And, you know, there needs to be a connection with, in terms of print, you know, television, social, all of these media. How does it work? And I think we've even got small videos to explain people what it really is. So, Mr. Producer, if we can put on the video so that people can understand what we're really talking about. We're doing it. Just a sec.
मैं क्या चाहती हूँ? मेरी ज़िंदगी, मेरी सोच, मेरी पसंद, मेरी है। जैसी ज़िंदगी मैं गुजारना चाहूँ, जो मैं करना चाहूँ, जो मैं सोचना चाहूँ, जिसको मैं पसंद करूँ, जिसके साथ मैं ज़िंदगी गुजारना चाहूँ। क्या मैं ऐसा कर सकती हूँ? नहीं। यहाँ ना मेरी रूह के लिए जगह है, ना ही मेरी सोच के लिए। मुझे आसाइशें और ज़रूरियात ज़िंदगी देकर मेरी रूह को कैद नहीं किया जा सकता। मेरी सोच पर पाबंदी नहीं लगाई जा सकती। यहाँ सोच कैद है, इसे आज़ाद करो। मुझे मेरी पसंद से जीने दो। मैं शादी करूँ या ना करूँ, मैं प्यार करूँ या ना करूँ, ये मेरा फ़ैसला है। मेरी पसंद का इजहार मेरा हक है। मेरी पसंद मेरी पहचान है। मैं अपनी सोच की दुनिया में मुनफरिद हूँ। मेरी सोच की कोई हद नहीं, मैं अपनी सोच में आज़ाद हूँ।
Very nice, a good piece of work, and we shared it with you guys so that you could understand what communication and design is all about. So it's probably communicating different ideas, sharing it with masses, and for all those people who are out there. And I think they're going to be these kids are going to be very fruitful for any branding agency as well to pop in some ideas, make some things, come up with some innovative new things that, okay, this is the thing which we need to do. Now let's move on towards architecture. So I start from you or Zirek? Do I start from you? Okay. So why architecture, first of all?
I wanted to get into something which is a mix of arts and math and a little of science.
Wow.
And technology and science. So architecture, it incorporates all of it. It is a very creative design, a creative field which has a little of technology in it. So that is why I came.
Wow, amazing. Zirek, what about you?
I feel architecture really allows you to express your creativity in a very practical way, and it's actually in a way that not only puts your mark on the world, leaves your mark, you can be remembered even after you're gone, but it even allows you to change the lives of people who are inhabiting the buildings that you design. Because every little aspects, like if you see in this office, when you walk out the stairs, the doorways, all of those are designed by an architect, and they can really shape the way your daily life works and how you move in a building, how you move out of a building, how you're residing, where you're sleeping, where you're eating, all of these things. It's very inspiring for me to be able to create such works.
So how important do you think it is for an architect to actually know the person for whom they're working?
I feel it's very important.
All right.
It's really important.
So what do you ask? Do you take history? Like, for example, when I go to a doctor, he or she will be like, any previous, diseases or anything, or probably any reactions from any of the medicines. So do you ask them a lot of questions as well? That, okay, what colors you like, what kind of shapes do you like? How do you do that?
Definitely. You need to really understand, you need to get into a person's head, you need to know what they want from you. Because a lot of times in architecture, people aren't able to express what they want in their design, in their homes, in their offices. So you really need to understand.
And we've got your project as well.
Yeah, my project was based in Hunza in Nagar, which is a region which hasn't been really developed. So I created like a resort type area there to help their heritage. It's based on their traditional materials and techniques, which really allows you to preserve the heritage of the area, which I feel is really important to work on that in Pakistan.
Wow, so if you're going to build a resort over the heritage site, I don't think that we'll be preserving the heritage.
It's not the heritage site,
or are we?
The materials that we're using.
I'm sorry, man, I'm just joking. It's all right, I'm joking. Okay, so now talking about, first when you picked up architecture, what were your parents saying that, oh, what are you doing? You need to opt for probably medical sciences or engineering or anything else. Did it happen?
Yeah, I actually started off with medical, then I got into engineering.
Wow.
And then I got into architecture. So,
Wow, so it took you quite a long time to decide whether what you wanted to do.
And
so
now I want to go into design.
No,
So.
Okay. No, but you just graduated.
Yeah, I just graduated.
Right, so now you once again want to study and do something else?
Yeah, to do masters in.
Okay, so how did it happen? So first you went into medicine and then you went into engineering. How did this happen?
It was all my parents. They wanted me to become a doctor. Then they wanted me to. No, it was all my choice at the end.
Right.
At the end.
Auntie, uncle, please don't say anything to her, all right? Even if she's blaming you, please don't say anything. Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, architecture was my choice.
Okay, so wow, that's just great.
And now design is again my choice.
Amazing, that's amazing. You should always, keep your eye open for other avenues as well, and it might help you with your degree as well. What about you? So when you told your, in fact, you didn't even knew what the degree was. So Zujaja, you tell me. So when you first told your parents that this is what I'm doing, it's communication and design, and it's hard to understand what it is, what was their first reaction?
Basically, again, I was planning to do psychology, and then I came here to do the design and all.
All right.
So yes, from grade 8, I was like interested in design and arts and all. But I was not expecting that I will get an admission in design department. So yes, I did, and it was all my choice.
When I think people think that, I might not get into medical school and engineering school, she was worried about getting into communication and design as well. But what about you, Maria? What happened with you?
So I always wanted to be an artist, right? So, but when I told my mother that I want and I also did medical because my mother wanted me to do
Wow.
medical.
Okay.
But when I was doing medical, luckily I got a very good teacher. So she like brainwashed me and she told me that I should do what I want to do. So I told my parents and they were like, no, you cannot do arts, right?
Oh my
Because, you know, that's what every parents, usually parents do. They're like, no, because you don't really, because in their mind, they have this image that you don't really get to earn after doing arts.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to stay in the creative field, but what creative field? Then I did some research and I came across design, and then I told them. But design at that time and even now, it's like a very new field.
Yeah.
Not many people know about it.
Yeah,
So my parents didn't really know about it. I just told them like, I am going to get a job, so just let me
You
do
know,
it.
we've got another video of Maria, I guess, where she, you know, she's doing some animation type of thing as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So we can share that video. That'll be perfect. Meanwhile, I can ask you 2 questions, and those 2 questions are not. Well, I don't know whether I should ask them or not, but since you're fresh graduates, you know, just to motivate other people, what are your CGPAs?
3.27.
3 point?
27.
Wow.
Yeah, I think mine's, I don't really remember. I didn't really keep track of it, but I think it's about the same. I think 3.27, 3.3.
Well, that's good. Maria, what about you?
Even I didn't keep track of it, but I was like, okay, I should keep it above 3.3, so it's above 3.3.
Wow. And you,
It's 3.1.
3.1, that's good. Now, you know, the only reason why I asked you about CGPA is, do you guys know what CGPA stands for?
Not really.
Grading.
Grade
something.
point
Yeah, yeah.
average.
Yeah, grade point average,
Yeah.
fine. You
And
only
C is like cumulative.
Cumulated,
Yeah.
yeah, very nice. You know, these guys are good. I like them. Okay, now one by one, what you have to do is that I'll give you guys a minute each, and you have to tell people why they need to be in the same field as you are. All those good reasons. Okay, go ahead. So we are going to start from Tazeen. Go ahead.
I think architecture is it needs people, and I think we all need to get into it and teach people how to design their buildings because they affect us all. The where we live in, it actually affects us. So I think it's
All
important
right.
to get
So,
into it.
okay, now the minute's over. You know, you did a great job. So, how does it affect us?
Psychologically,
How?
yeah. Where we're sitting, it's actually all the walls, the colors, the atmosphere, the temperature, everything is affecting us indirectly. We don't actually get into it. We don't actually think that way, but it is affecting us. If you stay in a dark room, in a gloomy room, you will be sad.
Yeah.
And
think
if
so.
you're in a very lit room, it has a lot of natural light coming in, you will automatically be
Well,
very
these
happy.
days
and very
I'm going to feel hot because if there's too much light coming in, you know, it's hot. But what about you, Zirek? First of all, go ahead, take it on.
But I feel people should get into architecture because it really allows them to express their creativity in a practical way, in a way that affects other people's lives, in a way that leaves their mark on the world. And we need more architects because now people are going beyond the hiring the traditional contractors and thekedars and big draftsmen se ghar banwana. So now they're realizing the need of architects to design good living spaces for them and good residential spaces as well as working spaces. So it's really good to have people come in architecture to be able to learn how these things work and to be able to design, more importantly, sustainably, because that's something that contractors and thekedars don't really know much of. So using materials efficiently and all that stuff.
All right, so you know we've got somebody challenging early in the morning, but it's perfectly all right. You said the right thing. But now what I want to ask you is that how are you going to negate the fact that people these days think that hiring an architect is actually going to cost them quite a lot? So why do you think that architects do not come up with ideas which are very financially friendly?
Because definitely architects are now starting. We had some courses in our study program that taught us how to design low-cost housing, low-cost homes for more affordable income families, so they're more affordable for them. So we use some cheap materials which are high quality but low cost, and some things like that. We have materials such as adobe bricks and hay bale housing and straw bale housing and all these things which allow you to make low cost housing but with very good quality and good living spaces.
So then what you're trying to convey is that, you know, there's something wrong with people out there because all we want is bricks and houses and bigger and bigger and golden colors and pillars and that's it, because we do not want to have a house which we like. We want to have a house which other people like.
Definitely.
Come on, you know, change your mindset. All right, Maria, what about you? You've got a minute. Come on, tell everybody.
So,
Why
I
communication
think
design?
everyone, people should be interested in communication design because, you know, it's not because it's a very creative field and you get to do a lot of stuff I think in the coming times, a lot of stuff would be about advertisement and branding, and it's not just about creativity, it is also a very strategic field, because advertisement and branding, all of those stuff are very about strategies.
Exactly.
So one should be interested in, because apart from just being creative, it is also very, you get to earn a lot as well.
Very nice. So now what we're going to do is that alongside us talking, we are going to share your own project as well, which you just recently made. Tell us a little bit about your project. Go ahead. Let's do it. Too much strategy putting in. Yeah. Pouring in fact. Go ahead. Come on. Can we have it? Yeah. All right. Well, what's this?
Okay, so my thesis was basically an illustration-based thesis,
Yeah.
and because I was also interested in animation, and I wanted to do like a different kind of animation, so I like incorporated this illustration and animation together. It was based on a Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, and it was like a whole scroll with illustration showing one side of wabi-sabi, and it was based on the legend of the koi fish, where the koi fish is moving across the water, and then you can see here, you can see this animation part. So it was about the light and the dark, so it is entering into another world in this scene, right?
But I still remember having such copies in my childhood, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
So
there were people who used to come and, you know, when you move them. But actually, I think where the art and the strategy comes in is what's behind that paper as well. So the wabi-sabi, and, you know, I could see that, you know, things moving. But what kind of impact do you think these projects will have, thinking whether if you were working for a brand?
Okay, so this was like a very personal kind of project,
Yeah,
right?
obviously, because this was
it
your
was very
thesis,
experimental. But because, like, you know, wabi-sabi, it is not something that a lot of people know about. It is a Japanese-based concept. But otherwise, wabi-sabi, if you see, it is everyone around us can see it. So I just wanted to make it interactive so that whoever can come, they can get involved into it and feel that thing.
What a nice explanation. So Zujaja, you've got a minute too.
Okay. So communication design, basically it involves all photography, videography, animation as well. I think it is like the coming world is full of advertisement, branding, and all animation and stuff. Just go for it, and you will earn a lot.
Wow.
You will get good jobs.
Just go for it, and you will earn a lot. So obviously, you know, we need a degree to earn, and we need a stamp from the HEC that, okay, you know, this guy is actually a very learned man, or the women. But now coming down to where we see that, you know, the technology is fierce. It's changing every single day, every single second, every single minute. So how do you think that you put in all of that R&D, research and development within your own masterpieces so that you're up to date as well, and then you're having a greater impact on the society within your architectural designs? Wow, that was a good question. Go ahead, whoever wants to answer that.
I think in our field we have a lot of softwares like BIM. We have building information modeling, which is a new thing, which is a new technology that is coming into architecture.
Yeah.
So I think through it, we can do that.
Amazing. I mean, these days, you know, once I got a chance to visit Lahore, and I was traveling, and I checked into a hotel which was very sci-fi as well. You know, you stand under the shower, so it starts automatically. You go see the mirror, you know, the lights turn on. So I was thinking of something of that sort as well. For example, when Batman goes into his own den, you know, it's like So all of these cool, I like these things. So how do you think these things can be made practical?
These things now in
revolving restaurants, you know, all of these things.
All right, now we're in an age where technology is really being implemented into these architectural housing and offices, and so we're making smart buildings, intelligent buildings, which have all kinds of sensors, which allow you to handle like your HVAC, air conditioning, your temperature control, lighting control, all automatically. You don't need it to rely on humans because machines are smarter. So it allows you to use these technologies to incorporate and make people's lives easier, make people's lives better, and as well as it really makes it for some exciting designs which were not possible before with the help of these new technologies and softwares which allow us to design such buildings.
Amazing. Maria, what about you? How do you think technology is going to help you with your degree?
Well, a lot of part of it is technology, right? So, I mean, if you go with videography,
Photography,
then
videography,
all of that is
animation, all of that.
technology.
Yeah.
So a lot of creative work is being done, and yeah, I think
I mean,
I
I
guess
think
it's
developing an
just involved.
application for communication design,
Yeah.
and on the go, you're designing things, you're doing
yeah,
work. It's a
that's
great idea.
technology. So it's all about
Don't
technology.
steal
all
it. Okay,
about
if you try and if you make one, please make sure that I'm the CEO or whatever you want me to be. Or is it Jaja? What about you?
I guess it's all about technology. Design, communication design is basically about the, so like gadgets, photography, cameras and lights and all. So I guess this degree is nothing without the technology.
Okay, amazing. I mean, I've got your point. But,
Yeah.
towards the end, and since we were discussing architecture and communication and design as a career line, what I want you to do is I want you guys to share your goals and your vision and where do you see yourself in next 20 years?
I think I would be working on, I would be incorporating psychology
All right.
and architecture.
Wow.
So because I am very much interested in psychology. So
But you are about to do you realize you're about to do
Design,
communication and design? So, she's going to do psychology after that as well.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a brilliant idea as well. What about you, Zirek?
Alright, I feel that as an architect myself, inshallah, I would like to be able to work on some heritage projects which really allow us to preserve the history and culture of our country and all our nations and all the nationalities of people, different diversity of people that we have in Pakistan, and be able to celebrate that by preserving their old ancestral homes, forts that we have a lot of, especially in the north of Pakistan and in the south, in Sindh and Balochistan. We have a lot of these buildings which are really not being well maintained, so I would love to be able to work on them and maintain them and be able to keep them safe for the future generations to see our roots and where we come from.
Amazing. Maria.
So I'm really interested in animation, right? So I really want to do something in animation in the future. Like in the field that I chose, I was introduced to a lot of stuff, but you get to master that over time. So I'm very much interested in animation. A lot of good work is already being done in Pakistan right now. So hopefully,
And I think will be perfect for, I don't know how whether it's stop motion animation, because the way you were moving the paper and the way objects were moving at the back, it is stop motion animation as well, and it is a difficult job. So best of luck for that. Zajaja, what about you?
Animation, animated movies. Hopefully, I will be doing a lot of animation and videography as well.
And you're more about girl power as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We watch
I
your
am.
video. Yeah, so it's
I
all
am. So I
right.
will be
You've
doing
got
a
all
lot
the
of
freedom. You've got a good family support system as well. Your parents, alhamdulillah, all of these platforms over here. We wish you best of luck and we pray for you guys as well to be successful Pakistanis and make sure that once you're established, you give back to the society as well. This is all be required together. We are stronger Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen. This is it for the show. If you want any other further information, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's World This Morning. The Fabulous Repeat is going to be at 11 p.m. tonight. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.